Oh, man, the SEC Insider Hit this morning is presented by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. Friday Night Lights, always powered by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. The show is also brought to you by Drago's Seafood Restaurant and Oyster Bar on the Hilton Jackson property. Charbroiled oysters, gumbo, fried catfish, both as a platter and or a po' boy. Drago's Seafood Restaurant and Oyster Bar. Straight out of New Orleans, as our next guest knows. Both Metairie and downtown in the Hilton in New Orleans. But this one is on the Hilton property in Jackson. Charbroiled oysters, gumbo, fried catfish, and mix in a little Abita beer and watch the Saints play at Drago's throughout the year. Saints coming off a huge win. Our friend Mike Detillier, at Mike Detillier on Twitter, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Mike joins us on the Miller Lite guest line. And Mike, Sean Payton, I don't know what the deal is. I mean, it's like he's getting better with age. I mean, he's like fine wine. I mean, we knew he was great 15 years ago. He goes through a little bit of a rough patch, and then all of a sudden, the last whatever it is, he's amazing, and it's like he's getting better every year. Were you surprised at what they did to Tampa Bay, Mike?
No, I wasn't surprised. I was shocked. No, I'm honest, because, you got some Saints fans that think they're going to win all 16 games every year, okay? and they tell you, oh, man, we're going to win. Well, I got a lot of them last week tell me privately, man, I'm really concerned about this game. Man, Brady, all the people that he got, in Tampa. Now, you'd swear all of them knew yesterday they were going to win. But, I mean, that's just fans being fans. But whatever. It was the best first half of football. Now, I was a kid for some of this, so I'll throw the caveat. As a grown individual, it's the best first half of football I've ever seen the Saints play. The best.
Wow.
That I've ever seen this football team play. And it was shocking because their defense had shown no indication of this, that they could get all these three and outs. And offensively, with Drew, it's going to be a little bit more of the roller coaster ride with him, because of his age. You understand, but he touched greatness again. You just saw. I mean, he was just unbelievable. And to think in the last 3 games, he has thrown 0 interceptions and completed 78.9% of his passes. But he was just remarkable. And he got everybody included. 12 different receivers caught passes, which tied for second in NFL record. Now, I don't know what happened in 1947, but Washington had 13 guys touch it. I didn't think they threw it that much back then, but apparently they did. So, the surprising part was we've seen the Saints move the football sort of up and down the field, and but not against that type defense.
Right.
Because the Bucs defense was really good, and is a good defense. It wasn't their day. And everything went right for the Saints. And I said this on the post game. It's almost as though, like in the third quarter, you said, "Okay, tweet, stop the game. Can we bottle this up and save it for another day? We got this game won. Let's save it for another day." But it's the best first half performance I've ever seen from a Saints football team, and I think the surprising part for everyone is how well the defense played, because we had saw no indication of this. We really had not seen this all season long from this Saints defense. And again, man, you give Drew enough time to throw it, he's going to eat you alive. And he was hot, and you think about it, could have been worse. because of the fact, he hits Jared Cook, with a pass right at the end zone, and Jared's trying to fight to get into the end zone. The ball gets popped out, and there's a fumble. So, just a remarkable performance. Great game plan by the Saints, and Sean even told us last night, you come up with game plans at time, and you say, man, I'm really confident this is going to work. And he said, then sometimes you say, man, I wish I could redo it. He said, but Sunday night was one of those you say, we did a really good job, and they really did. They executed it. It was as good as it could get, to be honest, as good as it could get. And you think about the quality of that team who had been hot. They're playing on their turf, and how you handle the pressure of, kind of prime time. And Sean's been terrific in handling that with this football team. And so, you back on top again now in the NFC South, and I thought they'd be 6-2 at the midway point, but I thought the losses would be they would lose to Green Bay, and they would lose one of the two games to Tampa. The losses came against Green Bay, certainly, but the other one came against the Raiders in Las Vegas. But you still 6-2, and in this league, you humming at that rate.
Mike Detillier, Saints Insider, WWL Radio New Orleans. He joins us on the Miller Lite guest line. As Mike just said, they blew out Tampa Bay this past weekend. That's the best half of football that Mike Detillier has ever watched the Saints play. So we'll see what happens with who dat, and can they bottle this all the way through, not just go undefeated, but into the playoffs. Blake, you have a question for Mike D.
Yeah, Mike, you kind of mentioned the way the Bucs played, and I think Todd Bowles is one of the better defensive coordinators in the league, and the Bucs have shown to be a great defense, but they played incredibly soft all night and gave Drew so much time. I know a lot of times we talk about how DCs can show you the plan how to stop a guy. Did the Bucs show you how to definitely not play Drew Brees on Sunday Night Football? And moving forward, how do you see defenses handling that with such a performance on tape against such a soft defense?
Well, one of the things even Sean brought up last night, we, haven't gone up against Bowles in the past. He said, defensively, we sort of knew kind of how they would attack us. And he talked about being patient in the running game. And a big part of that was using Taysom Hill a little bit differently. And so that was a big part of their offense, that he felt that from what they saw defensively, that they could run Taysom out of these power sets and sort of spread them out a little bit more. And he went into quite detail last night about it, that was a big part of their game plan, that if they could run the football, then they would get some off coverage sets, and that played right into Drew's hands. Now, if you try to play bump and run against Drew, that's what he wants, because if you miss, that receiver's getting free downfield. But I think a big part of what the Saints got back to doing what they've done in the past is spreading the wealth. And you can't cover everybody for any length of time. And, when you got 12 different guys touch the football, that's tremendous, because you're getting everybody involved. But the big key, too, was they got great protection up front. And I thought that was the biggest part of the game that gets overlooked, because most people, they're not watching the line play. They're watching the ball. Drew got the ball knocked out one time, some pressure. But if you saw it, most of the game, he had time to throw the football. So I think it played hand in hand. And what he likes, because he's made the comment at times to us the soft coverage is more difficult for him than, say, if a team plays head up or tries to bump you, because that's what he wants to see. Then he said, I can quickly go through my progressions and find the open guy. So the old master, he got it, between the ears, man. It's just remarkable to watch him play at this age and what he looks for and what he finds. It's I tell Saints fans all the time, breathe it in, because the next guy ain't going to do it like this.
No, you're right, Mike. Mike Detillier talking Saints and Breeze and Sean. Big win, 6-2, swept Tampa Bay, and a lot to play for here over the next couple of months. Very exciting as far as the Who Dat Nation. He's at Mike Detillier on Twitter, WWL Radio, Mike Detillier on the Miller Lite guest line. Mike, if you would you give me your power rankings for the NFC? Just give me your top 4 in order, if you would.
Well, at one time, I would have put Seattle in that. But their defense is so bad that so I'd put them at the 4th spot now. They can't stop anyone. So I'd put them at 4. I'd put Green Bay at 3. I think Tampa Bay is 2, and I'll put Saints 1.
Okay. All right, so Saints, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, and the Seattle.
Because I will say this. I think Tampa Bay is still going to be difficult to deal with.
Sure.
And that one game, you can say, we got that number. Well, here's my deal. If you play them a third time and they beat you, what the hell's the difference?
Right.
About the 2 games you won during the regular season. Come on, for the Saints, the difficulties have not been during the regular season. It's been in postseason, figuring out a way to win those games. So that Tampa Bay ain't going anywhere. They're not going. And can other teams do what the Saints did defensively against Tampa Bay? I don't know. Has anybody else done it this year?
Yeah.
The Bears did a little bit, and that's how they were able to win that Thursday night game. But other than the Saints and the Bears, it's like Mike Tyson. You got a great game plan till you get hit, and Brady still can play, and he got that wide receiver core. Because somebody asked me this last week. Can you ever remember another wide receiver core with that much talent, depth-wise? And, it's a good question. In my memory, I can't. When you start to think about Evans and Godwin and Antonio Brown and Scotty Miller.
Good grief.
And, you're thinking about Cameron Brate and Gronk at tight end. How many teams in the free agency world accumulated that kind of talent? So they ain't going anywhere. And they're still going to be a formidable football team down the stretch. Seattle's defense is bad. The one thing I can say about the Bucs, they didn't play good against the Saints on defense, but I know Tampa can play defense.
Right.
Green Bay, there is a formula to beat them if you patient running the football, because they can score, but their defense has not shown they can stop anyone when you patient and you run the football at them. So I think you saw the 2 best teams in the NFC play. Now, can the Saints beat them if they play them a third time? I think is the big question mark.
That's tough to do. That is extremely difficult to do. Mike Detillier, Saints Insider, on the Miller Lite guest line. You're listening to 105.9 The Zone. We're streaming live on the Out of Bounds radio app. Mike, I'd like to switch gears here. If Dak Prescott comes back healthy, and we all hope he does, if Jerry moves off of him and goes, do you think Jerry, if Dak comes back healthy, and Jerry knows he's healthy, or he's 80+% and everything's trending the right way April 30th, whatever day the draft is, and they have a top 5 pick, does he stay with Dak knowing that he's trending heavily towards being healthy, or does he go for a Justin Fields?
My own feeling is that he would keep Dak.
Okay.
I think he knows what he's got with Dak Prescott, but you got to get him some help, and part of that too is offensive line play. You got a big tackle out at Oregon. He ain't playing no more college football, but man, that guy is a big time player, and so you help your offensive line at that point because I do think that there's to connect the dots with being able to keep your star quarterback upright. And you look at the Cowboys play offensively, what's not the same anymore is offensive line play. Just because of age and injuries and retirements and everything else, you go back to building that team back up across the offensive line. Now, depending on how high you have a pick, would you be willing to move down a little bit and accumulate draft choices to move down for a team that's desperate for a Justin Fields or Zach Wilson from Brigham Young, who I think he's going to be in that number 2. So I don't think he picks a quarterback, and he's got to be cognizant of to rebuild up front because I think he knows that that's a problem area for this football team. He's got weapons. I mean,
sure.
The problem is offensively, you got to be able to rebuild your offensive line.
Right.
Because you have spent so much time and effort on your receiving core and bringing Zeke Elliott back and that sort of thing. You got to rebuild your offensive line. Tyron Smith is not the same player anymore. Come on, you'd be real with that. And so you've got to look at that down the line, that's got to be the area. If I'm going to spend money on Dak, which I'm going to spend a lot of, then I got to keep him upright.
Sure.
I got to keep him clean. And I think offensive line, to me, would be the top target area for the Cowboys.
Okay. Mike Detillier on the Miller Lite guest line, 105.9 The Zone. The show is brought to you by Havana Smoke Shop, premium cigars at Havana Smoke Shop. Blake, you want to jump back in here? We're visiting with Mike, Saints Insider, NFL, LSU, and so on.
Yeah.
Oh, Mike, should we ask about LSU real quick? No, you go ahead, and then we'll go to LSU.
My question was going to be about the Saints playoff scenarios, but we can get to that. We have plenty of time. I want to stay on this QB thing.
Okay.
The latest thing I saw through some Draft Network stuff that I've been watching is six quarterbacks potentially in the first round. What do you have on your first round QB list, or potentially guys who are in the second knocking on the door to the first?
I have 5. Okay, and I think 4 come off pretty quick. Obviously, with Trevor and with Justin, with Zach Wilson from Brigham Young, certainly a young man from North Dakota State. There's a shot because I think you're going to have that run of those 4 in the top 10. Who else gets involved at this stage? And how it finishes off with Trask from Florida. And I think the most improved quarterback I've seen all season long, and that's Mack at Alabama. He has been the biggest jump guy. I think most people probably had him at best a middle round pick. Watch him throw the football. His deep ball skills are really good. And he plays with a lot of poise. And people, he's playing with an all-star team. Yeah, and he's also following the biggest impact offensive player at Alabama in the last, 25 years? And he's stepped right in. And so I think those 2 SEC quarterbacks, one of the 2 could sneak into round 1. That's a lot of quarterback talent in a year where there's going to be some fluidity at quarterback veteran-wise. What's going to happen to Matt Stafford at Detroit? What's going to happen with Indianapolis with Phillip Rivers? What's going to happen with the Jets with Sam Darnold? You got a lot of moving parts here, and that may determine how many first-round pick quarterbacks they got. But I think there'll be at least 5, and 4 go in the top 10.
Good grief. Hey, Mike, what do you think? I've only got a minute or so. I wish Dak would go to the Saints, but that's a whole nother discussion we'll have with you later. But I've got a minute or so. What do you think Belichick does at QB?
I think he drafts a quarterback.
Okay.
He short term. If Cam wants to make that deal, I think they're willing to go that route, and he would be another guy on that list.
Kyle Trask or somebody like that, super cerebral, that's getting better. I mean, who knows what Belichick could do with that? I don't know. There's others too.
My thing is, Belichick, the head coach, is still a great head coach. The guy that's killed him has been Belichick, the general manager, in bringing in talent. No, I'm not kidding you about that. He's got to maybe sort of hand some of that. I don't know if he'll do it, but Belichick, the general manager, has been a killer for Belichick, the head coach, the last couple of years, with a lot of picks, and he just has not hit on them at all.
Okay. We'll leave it there. Mike Detillier, NFL insider, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joined us on the Miller Lite guest line. The Saints coming off a big win. They've swept Tampa Bay, and they're 6-2. So we'll see what shakes out with New Orleans, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, the Seahawks. I can't wait to how this all looks going down the stretch. Mike, have a great week. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Bo. Appreciate it.
All right. Mike Detillier on 105.9 The Zone, ESPN, WRKS, presented by Havana Smoke Shop, premium cigars, 2 locations. Blakester, 2 locations.
Oh, I know them well.
I know. And that's a good thing. I-55 North for all your Liga Privados and Olivas, and across from Shaggy's Spillway Reservoir area for your Fuentes, Perdomos, and La Flor Dominicanas. All at Havana Smoke Shop, 2 locations, I-55 North, and across from Shaggy's at the Reservoir. I may have had a Liga Privada last night watching a movie.
Nice.
I couldn't stay with Monday Night Football, Blake. Sorry. I found this espionage CIA movie, and I was out in the Y'all Lifestyle Man Cave and fired up a Liga Privada, and it was absolutely delicious. Live in the Bank Plus studio. Bank Plus, it's more than a name. It's a promise. The show is brought to you by Chris Corley. Angel Oak Home Loans. That's Chris Corley, Angel Oak Home Loans. Angel Oak Home Loans. Chris Corley, if you're refinancing your home, condo, townhouse. Chris Corley, Angel Oak Home Loans. Show is also presented by, speaking of the Masters, got to give a shout out to Carrie and the crew at Edwin Watts Golf Shop on County Line Road. Carrie and the team will take care of your golf game before you go to Live Oaks. That's Edwin Watts Golf Shop on County Line Road across from Drago's. We'll be back in a minute. Hey,